Hi, everyone. This is Mary Larson, NAMM Foundation Executive Director, and welcome to our webinar, Music and Wellness. So glad to have you here today. And I don't know about you, but on this cold and drizzly day here in New York, I'm thinking a music and wellness conversation is just what I need. So thank you so much for joining us. If you're joining us, please let us know that you're here, your name, first and last name if desired, and the city, state, country that you're joining us from. And we welcome you to let us know and use our chat box feature to share along the way. For any and all NAMM webinars that we provide, we do operate under an antitrust agreement. This is relative to competitive pricing and competitive markets. It's a very important concept for us as a 120-year-old music trade association. So we just welcome you to review that if you're interested at namm.org. There's a lot of fine print there for this very important topic if that's of interest to you. We also want to note that even though many of you are joining us to advance yourself professionally, we do not provide professional development credits. We're informational, and we hope this springboards you to a place where you might want to get more detailed credentialed information, and we really are grateful that you're with us today. We have a wonderful group of panelists that join us in this profound belief of the power of music in our life in all parts of our lives, and with people that of all ages and all abilities, that music is a universal experience from the heart, from the mind, from the body, and from the soul. And I'm so delighted to have Robin Walenta, CEO of West Music, Kelly Carlson, the Director of Music Therapy at West Music, and later we'll be joined by Kristen Starling, Executive Director of Songwriting with Soldiers, and Jamie Trent, a former Navy a professional, and now is an ambassador and recruiter for the wonderful organization Songwriting with Soldiers. Encourage you along the way. If you've got questions, we keep our eye on the chat box. And if you'd like to ask me or our panelists a question or two, we invite you to be with us. So we'd like to ask Robin and Kelly to please join us. And thank you so much for being here today. I understand that you've had already your first snowfall there in Iowa, but I hope that you're high and dry today. How are you, Robin?
Hi, Mary. It's a drizzly day here in Iowa as well. So just wait, more coming your way from Iowa.
All right. Well, we kind of watch the weather. And Kelly, great to see you too, and eager to hear your thoughts. Robin, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about West Music, your role with the organization, and why, as a music business, multi-generational music business, you have made music and wellness a central part of your business strategy. I'd love to hear those thoughts.
Well, thank you, Mary, and special thanks to you and the entire NAMM staff for hosting the entire webinar series, and especially this one on such an important topic, music and wellness. I also want to say it's a real honor to be here today with such an esteemed panel, speaking on a subject that's obviously very near and dear to my heart, music therapy. You know, it's so important that we continue to advance public awareness on the benefits of music therapy. So thanks for providing this platform so we can share our message. As Mary mentioned, my name's Robin Walenta. I'm the CEO for West Music Company. We're a multi-store retailer. We have 6 stores in the state of Iowa and 1 in the state of Illinois. But I think the reason I've been invited to participate on this subject is that West Music is very committed to music therapy services. As you know, at West Music, we work hard every day and believe that all lives are touched in some way by the power of making music. Our commitment to music therapy began in 1994 when we hired our very first music therapist. And over the last 26 years, it's our strong relationships and partnerships that we have within the music therapy profession, as well as the music products industry, that's really led us to where we are today. You know, we work really closely with the American Music Therapy Association. We exhibit and present at their annual conference, as well as many of their regional conferences. And then, of course, we have really close ties with the University of Iowa Music Therapy Department, as well as Wartburg here in Iowa, meeting regularly with their staffs to ensure that both of us are working hard in advancing the profession and keeping that awareness alive in our communities. And of course, we partner with our key supplier, many of our key suppliers in the industry, like Remo and Yamaha, in creating relevant products and curriculums for any music therapist need. So today, we have 9 full-time music therapists on staff. We also host music therapy interns each year. And we continue to challenge ourselves on how we can efficiently and effectively service all populations effectively. Of course, COVID has created some new challenges for us in serving our clients and especially having access to their facilities once COVID began. It just hasn't been possible. But I can say from the very beginning, our team embraced the telehealth practice and partnered with many of the facilities and their clients in continuing as many services as they could. But admittedly, that too has been somewhat problematic as some facilities just don't have the technology and staff, to be honest, to help accommodate some of the services that we provide from a telehealth perspective. But as with any part of our business during COVID, we're challenging ourselves to look for new and innovative solutions to engage our customers in new and different ways. Both our clients and our customers are developing new habits and mindsets with COVID, and Kelly and her team have done an extraordinary job of again, looking for those innovative solutions and how we can continue not only to service the clients we have, but to expand our reach to all individuals that would need music therapy services or just engage with music from a wellness and health being. Like I said, Kelly's done a magnificent job. I don't want to steal her thunder. I want her to share with you all the unique things that she's been doing with her team, as well as the creative and innovative solutions that they've put together during COVID.
Thanks, Rob. And we're going to jump to Kelly, but I have a couple of questions I'd love to follow up with. First of all, you talked about the role of establishing partnerships. And, I think often at NAMM, we say the work that we want to do, we could never do alone, right? I mean, and I'd love to have you speak as, as a business, at the corner of Main and Main in Coralville, how does that mindset of going out and developing a strategic partnership, again, to our audience, encouraging them to model some of these thoughts? How do you move forward with an idea, especially when you don't have all the knowledge inside your organization as it exists?
Well, that's exactly it, Mary. We all learn from each other. We all get better together, and recognizing that there are other people, not only in our local communities, but across the country and across the globe that share our vision and mission. So it's aligning our goals with those of others that are interested in health and wellness, and then discovering ways that we can bring it to individuals to really enhance their lives through the that we can provide. If it wasn't for the Music Therapy Services Department at the University of Iowa and the unique partnership we have with them, whether it's getting interns to intern at our company, or just like I said, brainstorming on new concepts or new initiatives to bring our services to clients across the state of Iowa, it's been invaluable. And then likewise, for those of you who don't know Remo Belli, he was an important person in my life and in the lives of many music therapists. We are for-profit retail organizations, but Remo said something to me once that, we have two bottom lines. One is profit and one is passion. And music therapy is something we're all very, very passionate about. As Kelly knows, my mom was a recipient of music therapy services at West Music, not only during her battle with Parkinson's, but through her end of life transition. It was really something that was comforting for both my mom and our entire family. So I get a little emotional talking about it, but it's very special what we do and why we do it.
Yeah, that's great. Perfect answer. And I think anyone that's here joining us saying, how do we move some of these ideas forward? How do we create an opportunity for people of all ages and abilities? And it really builds forward for partnership. We have health service organizations in every community everywhere. we have senior citizen services in every community everywhere, and probably regionally, there's some pretty strong universities. So there's a model to build on. So Kelly, I want to jump to you. You're head of music therapy at West Music. You said there's 9 of you on staff. That's right. So
That is correct.
you are a manager and a team manager as well. Tell us a little bit about your role there and some of the things that you're doing at West Music.
Yeah, sure. My name's Kelly Carlson. I'm the Director of Music Therapy Services. I've been with West Music for almost 16 years and a music therapist for almost 16 years. So my entire career has been at West Music. I want to thank everybody for giving me this opportunity to chat, and to you, Mary, and NAMM, and Robin, for the support of music therapy. As Robin mentioned, I am the director of the music therapy services, so I oversee our 9 music therapists. Prior to the coronavirus pandemic, we were seeing 100% in-person, face-to-face music therapy. And that's really what the epitome of music therapy is those relationships and building those relationships with people, and looking for those small, subtle cues. And the pandemic really threw a wrench in that. We were seeing over 1,000 clients per week between all of us prior to the pandemic. So once the coronavirus hit, in-person services were no longer an option for us. There were facility lockdowns, schools were closed, there were day programs closed. Singing was considered, and sometimes still is considered, a super spreader. And so when we're dealing with these at-risk populations with multiple medical issues, being in person is not an option anymore. So the coronavirus really forced us to think outside of the box. And I think all of us on the team were really hesitant to jump into the boat with virtual music therapy because of those face-to-face interactions. But we also realized people needed us now more than ever, and that we had an opportunity the coronavirus pandemic is really difficult. It's difficult for all of us, but our at-risk populations feel an even more impact from that. Our nursing facilities here in Iowa have been locked down for almost 7 months now with very limited visitors. Our group homes haven't been able to attend their day programs in 7 months. Our hospice patients go to the hospice house and don't get visitors until the very last day. So all of these populations are just lacking the stimulation and socialization that music is the perfect thing for them to participate in. And it works. We're all amazed. I mean, we were hesitant to jump in the boat with virtual, but I just talked to one of my therapists who has the same amount of experience as I do, and she said, I don't know why we'd ever go back to face-to-face after this, because the virtual has been as successful, if not even more so, with getting attention from our clients, and being able to reach these people that need us right now. So prior to the pandemic, we were working with anybody 6 months to, I think our oldest was 110. We work with anybody along the spectrum. In the schools with kids with IEPs, we're considered a related service. We work in hospice, nursing homes, mental health, substance abuse, group homes, daycares. We even have a veterans guitar group. So I'm excited to see Kristen and Jamie talking a little bit about their Songwriting with Soldiers program. So now 85% of our sessions are virtual, and about 15% are in person with facilities that are allowing visitors, or students with IEPs that just the virtual iPad does not work for them. They need somebody face-to-face with them. And everybody has accepted the virtual music therapy really well. We still struggle with some of the nursing homes and group homes, and that technology is difficult and just staffing is difficult. You're hearing lots more about all of the nursing burnouts. Nursing is just a rough field to be in these days without a lot of help from anybody. And so we've actually just started, we have a couple groups coming up for some of the nurses on the COVID units to help provide them with some relaxation techniques and some engagement to help service populations that are well, but are really, it's a hard and stressful job that they have right now. So we've started, as a result of these technology changes and staffing turnovers, in person isn't necessarily an option, and virtual telehealth is not necessarily an option, especially here in rural Iowa. Internet out in rural Iowa is sometimes hit or miss, as Robin, I'm sure, can attest to. So we had to really get creative in order to reach some of our clients. And so that's how we came up with our Musical Connections program. We also have a Resiliency in Music program that's for just anybody that is having trouble coping with stress, the changes in life. I know for me, I was work full time, and now I'm work from home and take care of 2 kids full time. So it's been a big change, and we're trying to reach as many people as we can to promote this music as wellness.
So we're putting some of your links in the chat as we talk about these things. You know, I know that we had one of our California-based projects came on an earlier webinar, and invite all of you to look at our earlier music and wellness webinars across our fall webinar series. They're all available at our NAMM Foundation website. But we had people in a low-income senior citizen housing program that had transitioned from group singing to having lessons and engagement on iPads, and the average age was about 88.
That's awesome.
So I think that there's also something in the music making that creates a little bit of a motivation. Now, you know, we sat in on several of their rehearsals and their gatherings, and you have the music coaches, but then you have the technology coaches, and sometimes they're speaking on a cell phone to get in other words, we're all in that kind of mode. But to see them motivate, and then we came back a few weeks later, and they were all engaged with mute, but singing with a pianist on the screen, and they were happy, and then they talked about the meaning of the program. So I think we're going deep with this work, right? I think people are feeling something really, really deep. How did you solve your technology problems? Did you have some extra lifelines out there for these folks, or did they have younger children or grandchildren to help? It's just interesting, it's a real concern.
It is. I will say I'm one of the most technologically challenged people, and I'm lucky that I have 4 or 5 younger people on my staff that really knew how to do some of this stuff. And so I texted one of them right before this and was like, how do I do this? But I was on the phone with a facility yesterday who didn't know how to connect their iPad to the TV via the Wi-Fi. They didn't even know what the Wi-Fi was. And so there's a lot of problem solving that we do. And the technology, the nursing homes have been very resistant to the technology, mostly because it falls onto the nurses, and the nurses are already overworked and stressed out. But then it's getting it set up for these individuals who don't know. I mean, I've sung for several hospice patients who think I'm a TV recording, and then I say their name and they're like, oh, you're right there. So technology is definitely a challenge, but when it works, it has really been beneficial.
Right.
And we're trying to overcome those barriers, Mary. It's if a nursing home, for example, doesn't have the technology in-house to facilitate the services, we're even looking at, do we just get a bunch of tablets and put them in baggies, drop them off at the front door, and head out to the window and host? Well, this winter I'll probably be sitting in our car with the furnace on, but again, trying to think of creative ways to continue these services that are so important to these people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
think technology be the barrier. It just can't be the barrier.
Yeah, it's the intentionality of it, right? If the service and the connection is so important. Kelly or Robin or both of you, you also, I hope it can come back together relatively soon, but you had quite an infamous special needs choir going on there at West Music. Was February, March the last time they were able to meet, and how are they staying together? First of all, tell everybody about this choir. that even hearing about it gets me all choked up.
Yeah,
But
if Eric wants to throw, we have a slide with some photos from the Sound Reach Choir on there.
It's the next one.
Yeah, the next one. I'll let Kelly speak to it. It's you know, I'll share one experience I had with our Sound Reach Choir. The very first year it started in 1994. I went to the Sound Reach Choir, and there was a woman sitting next to me, and she was just crying and crying and crying, and she reached over and grabbed my hand. She knew who I was, but we had never met. And she said, "I just want to thank you. That's my son up there on the stage." And those are the first words I've ever heard him speak. And he was up on stage singing. So pretty emotional stuff. But anyway, I'll let Kelly speak to the project itself.
Yeah, so our Sound Reach Choir is our choir for adults and young teenagers with developmental and intellectual disabilities. It's been one of the staples of West Music Therapy Services for many years. And like Robin said, it gives our choir members a chance to be a choir. We rehearse songs for 3 or 4 months, just like a regular choir would do, and then we put on a performance at the end of each semester, at the end of each trimester. And as you can see in the picture down below, we play instruments sometimes, we have props that we do. It really is meaningful. The coronavirus pandemic definitely changed that for us. So you can see on the left-hand side, we moved it virtually. So now we're doing our Sound Reach virtual sing-alongs. And I think it's even more popular than the in-person choir has been because they get to request songs each week. We have built-in time where they can socialize with their friends. All of the parents have emailed us and said what a wonderful opportunity this is, and how each individual gets more in person or just gets more socialization out of it. I think everybody's just that much more grateful now to have those interactions with their friends when we can't have it as often.
The one I miss more than anything, it would be the one that probably would be taking place tonight, and that's the Halloween concert. Everybody costumes and we sing spooky songs, and it's one of my favorite events of the year.
yeah, well, that will happen again. As we say, we will meet again, right? That will all happen again. You know, it reminds me of an earlier webinar we had about online music learning, and we had the Philadelphia Boys Choir director on, and he's doing the exact, this is, you know, very audition only, very, right? And he's doing the same thing with doing part singing online, and all the kids are muted, and it's held everybody together, right? I mean, it's just so kind of wrapping up with both of you, how do you get the word out in the community, and how do you network this idea, and what's the community's reaction, whether they have someone in the program or not? How, you know, how does this just holding up, not just your people, the 1,000 people you work with a week, amazing number, but, you know, just in general, how does it kind of give people, other people energy and happiness?
Well, I think previously we were out in the community, and so word of mouth was super strong. They could see us, they wanted to see what were we doing, how could they get that for their loved ones. Now that we're not out in the community as much and we're much more sheltered, we've had a much bigger social media presence. We do Music Therapy Mondays through West Music, where we educate about music therapy. We show what our therapists are up to. We've drawn on those business connections and relationships with others as our social workers, our physical therapists, speech therapists, occupational therapists, nurses, chaplains. We've reached out to all of them to just kind of discuss how could we be of more service to you. And then our Musical Connections program is one that we've developed and we've marketed by sending out emails, putting it on the web. We developed a promo video, which is the first time I've ever done something like that. And so we're getting very creative and unique in the way that we're marketing.
That's great.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, as I said earlier, we just said we're looking for new innovative solutions, and I think Musical Connections is one of those. And we were talking the other day about a holiday at West Music, and you know, why not give the gift of music and musical connections for your grandparents or anyone that needs to get connected and experience the health and wellness of music making. So pretty powerful stuff that really crosses all of our channels.
And I
So I
think,
think go ahead,
oh,
Kelly.
I was going to say, a picture is always worth 1,000 words. And so we do have a copy of the promo video that we could share if that would work for you guys,
Yes,
so that you can see what Musical Connections is all about.
As they say on, the nightly news, roll the tape. Let's watch this.
At West Music Therapy Services, we believe that our mission of enriching people's lives through participation in music is more relevant now than it ever has been before. During this time of social isolation, we're all looking for that connection to other people and to have positive interactions with each other. We are just so thrilled to bring musical connections to you and your loved ones during this difficult time to help you connect and build memories to last a lifetime. And each month you get 8 30-minute videos. And so basically it's 2 videos a week, and you have access. You can play them as many times as you want throughout the month. Our subscription program focuses on 3 different groups: older adults, adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities, and early childhood. You'll see different faces in each of the videos. They all bring a different spin to it. All of our videos use familiar songs and focus on various topics. We work on movement, we work on reminiscence, we sing songs together. It does bring a sense of normalcy and happiness to this very stark and isolated time. It's really designed to reach those who need us the most, and that we're used to providing one-to-one services or face-to-face. And it's just plain fun to get together and play some music.
Well, that's terrific. How inspiring is that? That's wonderful. And I hope all of you that are experiencing this can seek out West Music and learn about, but most importantly in your own mind, the model that they're sharing with us, the framework for this work that they're sharing, that is something that maybe you can be inspired to think about for your own organization or for your own work that you're doing. Because the more that we all do this work, and the more that we all build on our connections, the more powerful these experiences will be. So Kelly and Robin, any final thoughts? Otherwise, we'll move on to our great Songwriting with Soldiers.
Mary, thanks for putting that challenge out to everyone. This is all possible. And if you have any questions that you want to ask Kelly or I directly, feel free to put my contact information into the chat and reach out to me and or Kelly, and we're happy to help you discover a way to make it happen.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I know you're going to join us for a final thought at the end, so thanks so much. I'd love now to welcome our Songwriting with Soldier crew. This is Christian is with us, and also Jamie Trent, Navy veteran. Thank you so much for joining us. I invite you to, there you are. Thanks so much. This is a story, a nonprofit organization filled with stories, filled with songs and stories. And I'm really eager to share it with our audience in terms of the power of creativity and writing songs and healing and moving forward in life. So Kristen, welcome. Great to see you again. Sorry we can't be meeting somewhere for a cup of coffee, but as I say many times now, we will do that again. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your leadership with Songwriting with Soldiers.
All right, well, thank you. It's good to see you even on Zoom and this whole group. Thanks for inviting us here today. So I'm the Executive Director of Songwriting with Soldiers, and been doing this for about 3 years. The organization is this week celebrating actually the 8th anniversary of its first retreat. We've been involved with NAMM for a long time now, I think since 2014. And I would actually, a really good kind of overview of what we do is a wonderful video that NAMM created based on one of our retreats and that they had supported. So, and that's on the NAMM website. So I would say if anyone wants to get an overview visually of what we do, that's a good starting place.
And I think we just put that link in the chat, but save that for later because we don't want to miss what you're saying. Go ahead.
So we use collaborative songwriting to build creativity, connections, and strengths. And we are not music therapy. We have great respect for music therapy and the training that the professionals do. We are creative individuals, professional songwriters and artists that work with veterans and their families to bridge the communities between civilian and military. So with our mission using collaborative songwriting as a spark to build creativity, connections, and strengths, we look at that creativity is something that opens up possibilities. You have to have creativity to think of different possibilities. And when you have different possibilities in front of you, it brings hope. So for people who maybe have experienced trauma or are having, getting stuck, and I think that this time in general is, it's a good example of how easy it is to get stuck in a routine that we're not used to and seeing people that we're not used to. So tapping into your creativity really helps open that up. And connections, of course, build community, and strengths helps us all build resilience.
So in quote unquote normal times, right, before the COVID reality, share with us how the Songwriting with Soldiers program proceeded, right? It in terms of the, selecting people and going into retreats and just what that whole process was like, kind of in the before times. Then we'll talk about the during times, but something that I'm sure you'll return to in the after times, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So in the past, what we did is we recruited locally from usually the area that we did the retreat. We hold retreats and have held retreats in Colorado, New York, Long Beach, Texas, and Virginia and Arizona. So we have all of these different locations. We generally recruit locally. Many times it's at this point, through word of mouth of past participants, and also through different veterans organizations. We work with veterans. We also work with couples. So we work with spouses and sometimes family members. And just more recently, we started working with Gold Star families. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, that's somebody who's lost somebody in military service. So generally, we recruit our participants, which for any given retreat would be 8 to 12 participants. We invite them to a beautiful retreat center for a 3-day retreat. The collaborative songwriting is a spark of the creativity, and it is a key part of the retreat, but the retreat itself, those 3 days, is wrapped in positive psychology applications. So we do things to boost positive emotions and prepare people, because there's research that shows the positivity and happiness kind of open up, again, that creativity as well, and the possibility. And so we wrap everything in that type of a environment. We make sure that we have good food and that we're at a beautiful location that's surrounded by nature so that people can take walks. We also know that, just getting out into nature, getting outside also can help boost mood. So we start the weekend off with a concert with our professional songwriters. We bring in professional songwriters. Most of them have had, hit records or are, like I said, working, touring professionals. They're not music therapists at all. But they come in and they do a concert and kind of give the participants a feel for how they are as an artist. And then on that first night, we write a group song so they get a feeling for what that will be like when they go into an individual writing session. And then the next day is spent in individual writing sessions. And while one group is writing their song, the other group is doing some kind of creativity workshop. Often it's a writing workshop or a painting workshop or strength spotting, things like that, again, to open them up. And then that evening, we hold a concert and perform the songs that were written in that day. And it's really an amazing moment because, and this is, I think, with any creation, especially music, when when we woke up that morning at 8 o'clock and had breakfast together, none of these songs were written. And then all of a sudden, here it is 7 o'clock at night, and we have 8 new pieces of art, 8 new songs for everyone to share. And it's also in that sharing that a lot of the community is built, and a lot of that everyone's shaking their heads and going, oh, I know how you feel, because music, even if it's a civilian listening to a song about somebody's experience in combat, there are metaphors, there's a human experience that I think music bridges like no other.
Yes, yeah. And then you do the third day is the culmination, right? And there's
Yeah, the third day we
yeah.
write another group song, which kind of, it's interesting because when we bookend them with 2 group songs, we find the difference between that first group song when no one knew each other, when they were all a little nervous, they just came in, we weren't really that community yet. And then the song that's written on the third day is after everyone is, the walls have come down and this new community's been formed, and it just has a different feeling to it.
Yeah, and I know you're the founders of Songwriting with Soldiers do have sort of a psychology and social worker background. Is that right?
Well, Darden, the songwriting co-founder, does
Yeah.
not have he's a professional songwriter,
Right.
but he's worked with a lot of different groups. He's gone into schools and written with kids, and he's written with, rival gang members, and he's written done all kinds of
Yeah.
work with um, creating songs with people and
Yeah.
showing them how to write. In Songwriting with Soldiers, we do not teach songwriting. The professional songwriters are there to listen to the words and to create that song out of their story.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's
Mary Judd, the other co-founder, she has a background in professional coaching, positive psychology, and that's where a lot of what surrounds us with the character strengths. That's where her expertise is.
And I think in the early days, that's what attracted us, is that it was really grounded in very careful methodology, because people come into this sometimes very fragile or wounded, or they're fractured relationships. It's a delicate, moment, but it has, again, we go back to our collaborations. If you don't have that skill or expertise to build something or expand something into those areas, that those people can become a partner, right? In making. So Jamie, I'd love to go to you. Did you attend one of these workshops? Was that your first immersion into Songwriting with Soldiers?
Yes, Mary. Thanks for having me, by the way. But yeah, I attended the first retreat back in 2013 in upstate New York. I
And
want to
and
say
and how long were you out of the military when the time that you went, and what drew you to it? What was the opportunity you had to go?
I was out for quite some time. I got out of the Navy in 1996, actually. My wife and I were having a conversation one evening, and she's actually the one that sort of pushed me in that direction. Her question was, when you take your career aside and what you want to accomplish professionally and things like that, what do you want to do? I mean, how do you want to be known, or what doing something beyond yourself? it was sort of a deep question she asked me for a Friday afternoon, and I got to thinking about it over the course of the next week, and I'm like, you know what, that's an outstanding question. What do I want to do? And I knew back then that my passions were music and the veteran community, just because I'd grown up around the military. My dad's retired military, my brother is, my uncle is, and I had a passion for music. I felt like when I started crawling shortly after I was born, so it seemed like a good combination. And I'll be honest with you, I just reached out to Mary, who Kristen just referenced, about helping out at a retreat, but she sort of, I wouldn't say tricked me, but she agreed to have me come there to this retreat. I didn't know at the time I was going to be a participant and not a volunteer, but I can't tell you how life-changing it was that I made it there under those circumstances.
So, you're someone who said you have a profoundly committed military family, and we all have to put our hands on our hearts and say thank you for your service, your entire family. But what is from the experience of being in the military, especially in traumatized experiences in combat or whatnot? What uniquely is available for our military family members if they enter into an art making experience like this? I mean, what is the like the door that they enter through, right, when they decide to do this? Maybe you had your own experience that way, but you've had it with others.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I can speak to the songwriting with soldiers portion because I'll take a step back for a second. I think that it's an interesting place that either active duty military folks are in or ones that are just getting out of the military. It's sort of this land of the unknown. They aren't really sure where their place is because they're no longer in the military, but you really don't feel like that you're a civilian, so you're just stuck out there. So for me, it helped bridge the gap between the military community and the civilian community. And I don't think you have to go very far to read that there's roughly 21, 22 veteran suicides each day committed for a number of reasons. I mean, the trauma and the mental illness and things like that. So I would encourage anyone, if it's not songwriting with soldiers, to reach out and find an organization, if not us, someone who does things like this, because it was life-changing for me. And I'm just glad and honored and blessed that I can pay it forward in some little way.
I think what you've said is pretty profound there. You've come out of a military experience as a professional, as an adult, right? And then that book is closed. And then you've never written in another book, right? I mean, that's been probably, and there's a lot of, discipline and boundaries and ways of doing things. And then all of a sudden you're off into creating your own way forward. And we've heard, about post-traumatic stress, and we hear that the problems and the dysfunction with families. It's like very inspiring to know that, you were so helped by this, but you've also are helping others. Okay, are there any stories in the help that you've given to your fellow military veterans that really spring out to you, which kind of keep you inspired and keep you going?
And I'm getting chills now just thinking about it. Anytime I try to reference back to it, it gives me teary-eyed or chills. I've had the opportunity to help out at a couple of retreats in Virginia that Kristen had mentioned, where they were specifically working with EOD warriors. And and I'm sure there's many that don't know that terminology, but it's explosive ordnance disposal folks. So, I mean, these are people in the Navy that have to go and disengage bombs for a living while they're in the service, and a lot of those folks have encountered trauma and things have happened to them that are far lifetimes beyond anything I've ever had to deal with. And they're some of the most hardened folks when they walk in there. And I don't believe that, but on the outside, it appears to be that, just because for them, you have to compartmentalize everything when you're in the service for what they do, or you're going to fail and think about the lives that they're responsible for. Well, a lot of them, it took a couple of days, even until the last night when it was the group event where you'd present all the songs. But some of the hardest folks, and some of them were in wheelchairs, some maybe had lost a limb or something, but seeing the confirmation between how they were when they walked in that door and how they left that last day is something that I can't explain. I mean, I know that we're not therapists, but I believe that music is therapeutic, and I'll always believe that. So for me, I think by default, though we're not therapists, I think the songs that are made through this program is as therapeutic as anything that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And here's your description of a military professional whose job is to basically explode unused weaponry, right? And they're not in combat, and they come away with this trauma, right? And it's a crossover to another thing that NAMM does, which is fund music brain research, and we are learning that what we experience auditorily really can change our neurology. It can change our, the way our brain functions, the way our emotions work. So it's such important things you're telling us. I invite Robin and Kelly back on with us, our wonderful panel. And I hope you're still there. There you are, you're coming back. To all four of you, I just would love to do a quick round robin, and maybe we should start with Robin Walenta. But in terms of your final thoughts, maybe what you've taken away from your fellow panelists, and maybe a call to action to folks that are gathered here today in terms of the work that we all need to do to make sure music is central to people's lives. So let's start with Robin Walenta.
Thank you, Mary, and I think you said it. Music is central to all people's lives in so many different ways. We've heard many of them here today. Jamie, I was inspired listening to you. I got goosebumps as well as you were speaking, because we know music makes a difference, right? And we know we all can make a difference. So I think that's the call to action is look within and see what you can do to help someone else through the power of music, whether it's making music or having music therapy services available to you. There's so many ways that music can touch a person's life. And, I've talked to many people, not only my coworkers, but friends and peers. We're all getting COVID fatigue. It's very difficult to navigate during these very challenging times. And that's when we can not only lean on each other, but lean on the power that music brings to so many lives.
Thanks, Robin. I need to acknowledge too that Robin Walenta is our former chair of NAMM, and I'm so grateful to have had the experience of being at NAMM when she was our chair. Kelly, your thoughts from an everyday chillier Iowa. Closing, final thoughts.
Yeah, I think I echo what everybody else says, is that music really can touch our lives in ways we don't even understand or know yet. It is a common language that doesn't require words. It doesn't require a lot of active brain power in order to feel something with. And there is COVID fatigue right now. And the easiest thing to do is to say, no, we're not going to bring in these outside therapies. We're not going to allow extra visitors, or, music is entertainment and we can't have that right now. And I think that's really doing a disservice to our residents, to the people who can benefit the most from music. So my challenge and to everybody is to really challenge that, and to challenge that music really is an important part of our lives, and to really keep pushing and keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you can only be told no until you're told yes. So keep advocating for everything that you guys are doing.
That's terrific. Kristen, what's next for Songwriting with Soldiers in this virtual land? Are you having virtual retreats, and your other final thoughts, please?
Yes, we are doing some online virtual retreats, and just like Kelly said with her online things, we've been pleasantly surprised with the impact that we are having online. Obviously, being face to face for us is important, and we're huggers, so we like to so getting back to retreats will be really important, but in the meantime the connections are meaningful in the online stuff we're doing, and that kind of, I guess, might lead me to my thought is every little bit you can do helps and counts. Every little connection and every little thing that you can do to uplift yourself and uplift others. And music does that. I've personally been spending a lot of time, and also even just with our retreats, one of the things that's key to our retreats is that there's music and photos and videos after the retreat. And spending that time savoring is really key. So I would encourage anyone to go back and look at photographs and listen to music that makes them feel good. If they're not able to create it in that moment, there's just going back and having good memories and savoring what you have and appreciating what we all have.
Thank you, Kristen, and so great to see you. Jamie, we'll let you leave us with a final thought, maybe about the value of your service previously, but your engagement with service now, and how that's helping you, and something we all need to think about for ourselves.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think just human nature. I mean, we all have the tendency to compartmentalize and just take all the baggage that we have and just store it away and store it away and store it away. Next thing you know, you explode over something that's so minute. And it's, I guess, from a music songwriting with soldiers standpoint, is there, to me, there's nothing quite as powerful as a song. And that's why I love Robin and Kelly, what you all are doing in the therapy. I think it's so crucial. And like everyone said, especially now more than ever, and as it relates to songwriting with soldiers, folks are still serving overseas, still getting PTSD. They're still getting out of the service daily. So in the midst of all this COVID, think about the help that they're trying to get, or we're trying to get for them when they get back on U.S. soil or wherever they are around the world. So I just encourage folks that are listening, or those that are spreading the word, go to songwritingwithsoldiers.org and just listen to one of the songs and see if it moves you. And if it does, maybe you contribute in whatever way. And it doesn't have to be financially. It can be just word of mouth, whatever anyone feels comfortable with. So thank you all.
And Jamie, after I give a couple of announcements, we're actually going to play a video of the song that you wrote, Bullet Holes in the Sky. You want to just give us a little introduction of your song, which I'll go through my final remarks fast so we can watch your video. When did you write that song?
Yeah, it's been, time flies, man. I'm 5 years older and a little bit more grayer now, but I met Mary Gaucher through one of the retreats. It wasn't when I was a participant, it's when I was a volunteer. And we couldn't have come from two different paths in life, but as I'm sure everyone can appreciate, that's sometimes who you become best friends and lifelong friends with. And Mary definitely fits the bill for me. So shortly after one of the retreats, she reached out and she had a melody and a chorus to the song, but her not having any affiliation with the military community, thought that I guess she thought since we had become so close that maybe I could contribute. And it was a good day for me because the creative juices were flowing. And I think, wrote that song over a 12-hour period in between breaks when she was performing at the Grand Ole Opry. So it was quite the whirlwind, but I won't tell the whole story now. Maybe we'll finish it at a different time. But that's how it sort of came about.
Well, we'll be showing that video, which I believe was filmed at the Nashville Memorial Park.
It was, yes.
Yeah, so please, Veterans Memorial, so please stick around for that. So thank you, panelists. You're all my heroes. Robin Walenta, we got some things we got to work on together. There's more to do. And Kristen, Songwriting with Soldiers, so grateful for your wonderful work and your ongoing work. So what's next? It's almost November, believe it or not. It truly is almost November. We all have to go around, be safe on Halloween, everybody. But November 10, we will host a post-election analysis. This is for our nonprofit organizations as well, and for folks concerned about the education sector as well as NAMM member businesses. So please check our website, and we welcome you to join us. We'll have a panel of experts that'll help us, and we hope we have results by then, the asterisks, right? We have part of our program is a Nonprofit Management Institute, where we're working with nonprofit music service organizations the world over now to help them be strong with their governance, their communication, their fundraising skills. And this is going to be devoted to virtual fundraising just in time for the end of year fundraising. And then we've got our Gen Next program, which nurtures our college music students and faculty along to consider careers in music after their college days. And you must all put on your calendars, we are going to have the first and the only, hopefully online, NAMM Foundation holiday concert. You can call it a celebration. It's going to be an hour of music and merriment and full of puns and jokes, not to be missed. So thank you so much for being with us, and we're going to close out. Oh yes, then there's a little thing that we're going to do to start the new year, January 2021, NAMM Believe in Music Week, the week of January 18. Registration is now open. It is free. We would love to have you join us. NAMM Foundation will have a very rigorous program, music education days, music technology training, our Gen Next program, music and social justice, music and wellness, a ukulele symposium. It's not to be missed. So we really hope that you could join us for that. So let's end with Jamie's wonderful song, Bullet Holes in the Skies. And stay with us, and then we'll sign off. Thank you.
It's the 11th of November down in Nashville, Tennessee. Free breakfast at the Waffle House if I show 'em my ID. A parade up on the riverfront, you can hear the trumpets play. Hands on hearts, the color guard kicks it off on Veterans Day. And they thank me for my service and wave their little flag. Genuflect on Sundays, and yes, they'd send us back. But I believe in God and country, and in the angels up on high, and in heaven shining down on us through bullet holes in the sky. Waitress asked me how I'm doing, but I don't know what to say. I was thinking about the battlefield, the night I learned to pray. My marchers make their way down Main Street. The crowd begins to cheer. I feel my chest explode as my eyes fill up with tears. They thank me for my service and wave their little flags. They genuflect on Sundays, and yes, they'd send us back. But I believe in God and country, and in the angels up on high, and in heaven shining down on us through bullet holes in the sky. Oh, Jesus said, forgive them, they know not what they do. And he's here with me this morning, and his words still ring true. So I hang my head and pray for those we lost and those who remain. As the clouds burst over Nashville, it begins to rain, and they thank me for my service and wave their little flags. They genuflect on Sundays, and yes, they'd send us back. But I believe in God and country, and in the angels up on high, and in heaven shining down on us through bullet holes in the sky, and in heaven shining down on us through bullet holes in the sky. Oh,
Thank you all. Thank you all so much for joining us. Hope you'll join us again. Bye-bye.